Hafiz TV, unique every day.
Workshop at which they brought together women in media and some aspirants who were seeking to contest the local level elections because the numbers at the local level were hugely inadequate. Even as the workshops led to an increased coverage of these candidates, we weren't able to secure more than 5% in terms of those who won their elections to be in the General Assembly. So even then, we recognized that there was a problem. The research, however, showed us that increased visibility of female aspirants can actually yield positive outcomes. Your Excellency, you may recall in the 2024 election, you called a similar gathering of women in media to engage with them because we recognized the value of deepening our collaboration between the women in media, women in politics, and women in public service generally. So if we look around this room here, we are indeed the critical mass. We are the affirmative action, as we said it earlier, the faces and the voices of women in power. In fact, women in government and women in media are the most influential group, and affirmative action will grow or die with us. Your Excellency, once again, distinguished ministers, honorable members of parliament, esteemed media leaders, chief executives, colleagues in government, and remarkable womanship in our national story, it is my honor as Deputy Presidential Spokesperson to welcome you to this forum on women in government and media. This platform is grounded not in symbolism, but in what we might create to be a shared purpose beyond ceremony to greater responsibility. We are gathered not as a professional group of people occupying positions merely, but as agenda setters, which we are, as custodians of public trust, which we are, and as actors whose voices and decisions and narratives shape how citizens understand leadership, governance, the future of this country, and most importantly, the role of women in it. Because whether in the newsroom or in public office, visibility, ladies and gentlemen, it's not neutral. That we are visible is not neutral. It carries risk, it carries leadership, and it carries consequences as well. And it carries power. Because this forum is anchored on that simple but profound recognition that women in government and women in media do not operate on parallel tracks. We operate in a shared ecosystem bound by real lived experiences, shared experiences, no matter who you are as women in this ecosystem, with more in common than there is difference. One of us leads in the public service. One of us interrogates in the public service. Both of us influence, as you all agree. And both of us are accountable to the general public, as you will agree. And yet we must ask ourselves some very difficult questions. Are we truly telling the full story of women's leadership in this country, or only fragments shaped by controversy, shaped by crisis, and often negative commentary around women leadership? When women step into public office, do we see her first as a leader or as a symbol under constant scrutiny? When a journalist reports on women in power, is the lens shaped by expectation, evidence, or inherited negative bias? Are we building trust or eroding it through misunderstanding, through distance, and through silence? And perhaps most importantly, what will change in our national discourse if women in leadership, women in media saw each other not as subjects of coverage and scrutiny, but as partners in shaping the nation's future? This is what public trust is about. It is not built in isolation, in firefighting, in unfair scrutiny of each other and judgment of each other. It is built in the space between the leadership that we provide for our institutions, for our media organizations, and the communication we open between ourselves, between decisions and how those decisions are understood, and between our collective power and responsibility. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is about closing that space. And we thank you for accepting the invitation to be here. Welcome, Akwaaba and Obake, for that. May we give ourselves a round of applause.
Republic of Ghana, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman. Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, spokesperson for the President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Cabinet Ministers of State, Honorable Members of Parliament, our Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Honorable Barbara Asamoah, my colleague, women in government, distinguished women and men from the media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you to the first annual National Forum on Women in Government and Media. Today, we gather not just for a ceremonial engagement. We are going to have a very purposeful conversation, one that recognizes the indispensable role that women play in shaping governance, in influencing the national narratives, and strengthening public trust. Let me extend a very warm welcome to our sisters from outside the office of the President, our honorable journalists, editors, broadcasters, media personalities, communicators, Akwaaba. Your presence here reminds us that governance does not just exist in isolation. Governance speaks through the media, and the media shapes how governance is understood by the people we serve. Permit me to share two reflections that speak to the heart of this forum. The first is the story of a woman in governance, and we're seeing the display by Shamima. It's not just defined by title, but very much by courage and bravery. She sits late in the night, as our honorable members of parliament do, reviewing policy documents, knowing that each and every decision that she makes carries the hopes of communities that she may never meet. She faces scrutiny, sometimes unfairly. She's judged more harshly than her male counterparts, yet she shows up every day, every morning, every afternoon, determined to serve with integrity and to serve her communities. Her leadership may not trend in the headlines, but its impact will shape schools, will shape development, will shape hospitals and livelihoods across this nation. The second story is the story of a woman in the media. This is a journalist who sits in a crowded newsroom. She's balancing speed and responsibility. She's asking the very difficult, hard questions. She's challenging and interrogating power, and she gives voice to stories that might otherwise remain unheard. She carries a heavy burden of public trust and knows that one headline, just one headline, could influence perception, could shape policy debates, and inspire national dialogue. These two women, one in governance, the other in media, may walk different paths, yet they share a common mission: to build a nation that is rooted in truth, accountability, and progress. And these stories remind us that women are not just participants in national development. We are architects of national development. Under the leadership of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, the media has emerged as a very powerful engine for driving the reset agenda. This is an agenda that seeks to transform governance, that seeks to restore public confidence and renew our collective commitment to national development. And at the heart of the reset agenda of the NDC government are women in leadership. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has over the years demonstrated clearly that women's inclusion in leadership is not an afterthought. His life journey is in itself a very clear demonstration of a staunch believer in the gender agenda. He has a commitment and has been recognized continentally as the champion for gender development in the AU. Now, this passion for women's inclusion is in his DNA. And when you read his autobiography or his best-selling book, My First Coup d'etat, Memories from the Lost Decades of Africa, he shares personal memories that reveal a young boy who is deeply influenced by maternal care and presence. In one storytelling moment, he speaks about traveling to Accra with his mother, clinging to her. And further in his narrative, he talks nostalgically of his days in Achimota School, where there was an adult, a maternal figure of a sort, assigned to every dormitory that took care of them. Like many of you here, I, Nana Oye, am a living proof of the extreme pride that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and confidence that he has in women. I recall the day I was called to serve Ghana. That moment affirmed for me the President's belief that leadership must reflect inclusion. In many appointments, you'll know that he has insisted that women are not deliberately hidden under the guise that we cannot find women. You have to find the women, and when you find the women, President John Dramani Mahama will appoint the women, and these women will serve with diligence and integrity. As women, we are proud to be mentored by our distinguished Vice President, Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman. She's a celebrated academic, the first of first, a trailblazer, and a symbol of possibility for generations of women girls. She spoke about opening the door and getting us all to enter. Like many of you here, I have inspiring encounters with Her Excellency and can go on and on about the several stories, the banana cake and the innovation. There's no money. Well, you can serve roasted plantain and groundnuts at your meetings. And I did that, and everybody was happy. So thank you very much, Prof, for that. I recall during our lab meetings, she'll show up with very deep interest and passion. And actually, she coined the name The Lab for our manifesto committee and for the beautiful reset agenda that you say. She came up with the name. She does not allow her ascension to make her forget her compassion. Rather, she uses her office to keep the door open for other women. Indeed, she is our shiro and our number one cheerleader. That is why we always say, Mamio Dende. Today, women in government constitute approximately 23.21% of political appointments. We are inching slowly and rapidly to the 30% quota required under the affirmative action. Together, the executive and the media, we hold a shared responsibility to build a culture of ethical leadership, mutual respect, and public trust. Distinguished guests, today's forum is not the end point. It is the beginning and a commitment to sustain dialogue, mentorship, and collaboration. Let's use this conversation and this forum to listen deeply, to speak boldly, and to build bridges that strengthen our institutions and our democracy. My concluding advice to us is found in the words of one of my favorites, an admired, influential woman in modern world history. That is the former First Lady of the United States of America, Eleanor Roosevelt. She was chairperson of the United Nations Commission on Human Rights and a key architect of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And the advice she gave to women in 1930 is still relevant for us today. And I share with you. Women in government, women in politics, women in parliament, women in the media, you cannot take things personally. You cannot bear grudges. You cannot get discouraged easily. You must accept defeat, rise again, and continue to rise. You have to be sure of your facts. Women who choose leadership like you and I must be ready to stand out and sometimes be criticized and abused. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look at fear in its face with bravery. Once again, welcome all of you to this historic gathering, network. Please welcome my boss, the Honorable Chief of Staff, Honorable Julius Deborah, Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana. Friends and sisters, share your experiences openly and leave here inspired by the collective strength of women committed to leadership, women committed to public trust. Thank you. Welcome, Akwaaba.
I'm the first female member of parliament for Ketu South. And in the 9 constituencies that form the southern part of the Volta region, no woman from those 9 constituencies has ever been there. So you can imagine what a task it was for me. I haven't recovered. I'm still recovering. Again, for now in this parliament, there's 2 of us from the region who are female. Joycelyn, is she here? Joycelyn Tete and I, who are from in the 18 members from the region, it's only 2 of us who are female. So there again, it's not an easy task, right? But we have done it. My question to you is, who do you want to see in the Parliament of Ghana? Who do we want to see there? Why is it not easy for women to be there? 40 on our side. At the 8th Parliament, it was 2020, wasn't it? Now it's 30-10, isn't it? Or 31-10. 31-10. 275. Who are you looking for in that parliament? Why are you not ensuring that those of us who even dare to go there remain there? Why are you in a hurry to want to kick us out? And I also want to ask, when you see me, who do you see? Do you see the girl who performed in Ghost Years? That would be terrible. Listen, I've moved on. Who do you see? Because who you decide to see is probably going to inform how you treat me. So you always position me to come out as combative, as fierce, because you see, I'm from every level a minority. So I always have to assert myself even more than I should. It's not a choice I have made. You have created this monster. They say society creates criminals, so be careful what kind of women you are creating who will eventually end up in your parliament. But when we do enter, we do a fantastic job. There's no question about that. What are you willing to do to keep me in there as colleague women in parliament, colleague women in ministry, colleague women in media? what are you willing to give up for us, the 41 who are in there? What are you willing to do to keep us in there? I've given almost 41 years of my life for this sector in which His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, finds me worthy to head. And in that 41 years and counting, I think in all the domains I've done something that I find remarkable. You may not agree, but it gives me confidence about each of the domains and what I think should be done. Because as I was groping through the dark, finding myself, I had to do things in food, in dance, in fashion, in costume, in acting, in directing, in producing, name it. Just so I can discover who I am. But I have a fan club leader in the corner there. Thank you for the cheering. In this Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, I have 13 agencies. Most of them are very broke. The 2, 3, or 4 that are doing quite well will be Ghana Tourism Authority, because the fund is in their domain, it's in their space, and they manage it. They're supposed to manage it for the whole sector. Then there's the Ghana Tourism Development Company that should have money but don't have. Yeah, I can see you. The Deputy CEO is here. So Ghana Tourism Development Company, their mandate is to develop the sector. But it's been so run down. In fact, they're a company, but they didn't renew their license from 2018 to 2025 that I came back. And they were operating. Some of the things that they have under that ministry that could have helped them, we'll leave that for another day. There's the Bureau of Ghana Languages, which is set up to, in principle, develop our language and see how we can promote and preserve them. Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park is under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, and you know what Kwame Nkrumah stands for in our country. And the fact that some people have been misinforming Ghanaians about how the place was renovated. It's a World Bank facility that was used to renovate the place. Don't be giving it to one person, it's not true. But that renovation has given opportunity for that institution to bring in some revenue. The Du Bois Center is also under the ministry. Last month or two, through cabinet approval, we've been able to sign an agreement with the Du Bois Memorial Foundation from the US to come and take charge of that space and see how they can make it come up to the level of what Kwame Nkrumah is like. Hopefully, that's going to get them opportunity to make us as visible as we should be as the hub of Pan-Africanism on the continent and also in the world. The third one is the George Padmore, which is not directly under the ministry, but if it also comes up, it's under the Ministry of Education. It's going to help with the promotion of Pan-Africanism. The National Theatre of Ghana, you know the story. I was there when the sword was cut, but it's in a very terrible state. Through the leadership of the President of the Republic, the Chinese government is supporting us with some money so that we can renovate the facility and let it take back its glory. Then we have the National Commission on Culture. Before the ministry was set up in 2013, through an executive instrument, the highest level of culture and everything around it was at the National Commission on Culture. So now the ministry supervises even the National Commission on Culture. They are in charge of all the centers for national culture across the country, 16 regions they are in. They are planning NAFAC, which is affecting every region, and I urge all the members of parliament to participate in that activity because it will be for your own interest. The National Folklore Board. The mandate of the National Folklore Board of Ghana is to administer, preserve, protect, promote, and regulate expressions of Ghanaian folklore on behalf of the Republic of Ghana, ensuring that the country's traditional cultural heritage is safeguarded, documented, and disseminated both locally and internationally. If you use anything at Dinkra, we'll come after you and take some money because that's the law. So if you are happily using our things, know that I'm coming to chase you. The next one is the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board, and I'm sure that you all know what they do. Then the Creative Arts Agency is one of the newest babies under the ministry. Their office burnt down at the beginning of the year, I think, or middle of the year last year. We're still struggling to find investors to come and renovate it for them to be able to do their work more efficiently. Their mandate is to provide the institutional framework for the development, regulation, organization, and promotion of the creative arts industry in Ghana, ensuring that the sector contributes meaningfully to cultural expression, national identity, and the socio-economic development of our sector and our country. Then the Pan-African Writers Association is also under the ministry. Of course, it's about writing, so publishers, those of you who are authors and so on, I'm sure you are members of that association. We also have HotCat. HotCat has potential, huge potential, especially in the sub-region. If we are able to find investment for the establishment of a world-class training school for the whole ecosystem of our sector, there's none in the sub-region, so then it would create a lot of opportunities for us to train people in the service sector of tourism. So if you know anybody who has money, please direct them my way. And the last one is the National Film Authority. Their mandate as an agency is really to develop the film industry in the country. The power of that medium of film is one that we take for granted because we think it's mostly about entertainment. But I like to use the example of, you're up, okay. I like to use the example of the Cosby Show. Remember that when we were growing up, my generation people, we had the Cosby Show. The essence of that program was to change the mindset of the African Americans because they were used to broken homes, and either households led by women or single fathers. That single series was crafted so that you see a functional family of a mother and father in the house and their children, and how one is a doctor and one is a that, and it for a lot of African Americans post that series, they now decided that because of what they had seen, they could change their life story. So the power of film is strong and can help change a lot of things. What will help this country, I think, and your support for my work, is that you don't choose to wear only fugu on Wednesdays, as I said you should do, but that in every decision that you take, you see how its impact reflects on the economy of our country. Everything that you must eat, drink, dance to, wear, and what have you, if you make a conscious effort that is going to be a Ghanaian one, every penny from that money remains in this country. The moment you make everything about other people's fashion and everything that they do, you are sending the money to develop their countries. My work is not easy, but I know that once you have listened to me, you are going to help me succeed. Thank you very much.
I stand before you today not only as a minister, but as a testament to what happens when a woman refuses to be defined by the limits others set for her. I am Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjare. I'm a lawyer by profession, having spent more than 2 decades at the bar, 2 decades of advocacy, of arguing for justice, of understanding that words well used are among the most powerful instruments to change and make available to humanity good things. It is that same conviction that has carried me into public service and continues to drive every decision I make. I serve as the first female member of parliament for the good people of Techiman North, and the only person to have been on that seat consecutively for 2 terms after 2000, and I hope to do more, you know. A mandate entrusted to me by the people who believe that representation must translate into real and lasting transformation. I hold a master's in Alternative Dispute Resolution, LLM. I have a master's in International Relations, And it is through these lens that I dialogue, I solve problems, and I find solution and common grounds. I am excited to be invited to the first annual National Forum on Women in Government and Media, here at the Presidential Banquet Hall, Jubilee House. I'm honored to be part of a high-level gathering that brings together distinguished women leaders, policymakers, and media professionals to strengthen collaboration, enhance representation, most importantly, build public confidence in leadership and governance. Let me also respectfully acknowledge the special honor done us by Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, and H.E. Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agyeman, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, for giving us the opportunity to serve. The theme for this forum, leadership, visibility, public trust, is timely. And for many of us, it is personal. The truth is, visibility does not come easily for women. In Ghana, many women learn easily that to be noticed, you often have to deliver 3 times more before you get 1 applause. And even when you deliver, you may still have to explain yourself more than others. That is why today's conversation is not just a forum for discussion, it reflects lived realities. Before I proceed any further, permit me to commend Excellency John Dramani Mahama for the confidence he has consistently shown in women. I know woman after woman will mention the Vice President, and I will not be an exception. Clearly, deliberately, and at the highest level. This historic choice of a woman as his running mate, who today serves as Vice President, sent a message across Ghana that women can lead at the very top and very well. Beyond that, the President has appointed many women into ministerial and other strategic leadership roles within the public service, not as a gesture, but because he believes women can deliver, and we are delivering. I speak with humility because I have experienced this trust personally. In his first term, the President appointed me to serve as his minister responsible for tourism, culture, and creative art when I was actually pregnant. Today, he has again entrusted me with a demanding portfolio of trade, agribusiness, and industry, a ministry that sits right in the heart of jobs, production, exports, and the cost of living. With that responsibility in mind, let me be clear, appointments are not trophies, they are responsibilities. And for women in public office, there is an added burden, fair or unfair, where you are judged not only as an individual, but also as an example. When one woman succeeds, it opens doors. When one woman struggles, people unfairly use it to question women's leadership generally. The reason why we have to look out for each other, hold each other's hand, protect each other, groom people, so that women's brand are exceptional, because we are really exceptional. This forum itself reflects the national commitment, inclusive leadership, institutional credibility, and the advancement of women in public service and the media is instrumental. But commitment must be matched with performance, and performance must be matched with public trust. So, what is my vision for the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry? Simple. My vision is simple and practical. Ghana must produce more, add more value, sell more, so that we can create jobs, reduce pressure on prices, and above all, create wealth among our populace. You see me recently in the market making sure that prices reflect the economy, reflect the gains that we have made, so that we are all enjoying the benefits of Aba and Papa. The people we serve do not eat policy papers. Policies are good, but they feel outcomes at the market, at the farm gate, at the factory, and in their homes. When I meet traders and manufacturers, I do not hear complicated requests. I hear practical concerns, delays, cost, uncertainty, and the everyday struggle to keep businesses running. I recently engaged a group of local producers, and one of them put it plainly, Honorable, we can work day and night, but when raw materials don't come, machines also sleep. That statement stayed me up because it captures the real economy. For that reason, our focus is practical. We are working to make the business environment more predictable, clearer rules, faster processes, fewer avoidable delays, so businesses can plan, expand, and employ more people. At the same time, we are strengthening the link between farms and factories, because no industrial ambition succeeds if factories cannot secure consistent input. That is why aggregation, quality checks, storage, and workable supply arrangements matter. Recently, there was cassava chips glut in the Volta region. I also knew of a factory that is coming up. I linked the factory together, and they collected everything. We are linking the farm with factories. The truth, it was the president who drew my attention, and I rose to the occasion. We are also reinforcing standards and quality, because trade is built on trust, and a single rejected shipment can set a business back for months. And we are expanding markets, especially across Africa under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So Ghanaian businesses, particularly women-led and youth-led enterprises, can export with confidence and compete fairly. Now, here is where the media becomes essential. Visibility and public trust depend not only on what we do, but also on how the public hears and understands it, and also experiences it. Even the best program can lose public trust if facts do not lead the conversation. And even the most sincere policy can be misunderstood if the public cannot see what it means for their lives. I remember my lecturer, Professor Mensah Bonsu, told me that lawyers are trained to present the truth beautifully. We don't lie. We only present the truth beautifully. What about if our women in the media decide to present our truth beautifully so that people appreciate and understand same? Public trust grows when people can see the work, understand the work, and assess the work. That is why this forum, bringing women leaders and media into strategic collaboration, is so important. Accordingly, I want to propose a simple partnership. What I ask from the media is simple. Be fair and factual. Hold us accountable, yes, but do it with evidence and balance. Help translate the work into real life. Let policy sound like what it truly means for the market woman, the farmer, the exporter, and the young graduate looking for jobs. Give visibility to Ghanaian enterprises. And what my ministry will commit to do is also clear. Access, responsiveness, visibility on the ground. Finally, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the presence of the Vice President and the Chief of Staff in this forum today is a reminder that this agenda is not peripheral. It is central to the Ghana we want to build together. The President has shown belief in women. Our duty now is to justify that belief by delivering results and by earning public trust through steady, honest engagement. If we get this partnership right, women leaders and the media working with professionalism and mutual respect, then visibility will no longer be a struggle. It will be a natural outcome of real work. May women continue to rule. May we lead. May the opportunity that we have gotten give places for more women to climb the ladder. I thank you for your kind attention.
Let me begin by requesting you to give my deputy, Shamima, a big round of applause. I noticed that she is far too modest, and so has placed my photograph together with His Excellency, the President and the Vice President, when it should actually be her photograph. She has been the inspiration behind this program. I have had virtually nothing to do. She has done all the legwork and has managed to make history in the sense that this has to be, arguably, the single largest collection of the most powerful women in Ghana. And it is not an easy feat to pull off, and she has done it. She typifies what the woman can do when so empowered, and I'm very grateful to have her as my able deputy. It makes the work extremely easy for me. I'm also very gratified that we are able to attract the attention of such a collection of powerful and influential women. Despite your very busy schedules, you have made time to be with us. It is an attestation to the importance that you attach to issues relating to the advancement of the cause of women. Now, we intend for this to be an annual event where we engage in frank exchange, where we engage in ideation and place issues affecting women on the front burner. We want to fashion a platform that enables the most important matters relating to women to be discussed and firm and concrete outcomes achieved. We also hope that in the coming years, you will give us the same cooperation that you have extended to us today. And I do know that the example that you have set here will set a torch alight that we can hold aloft for a long time to come. If anybody wants to be at a gathering where the most influential women are present and where the most topical issues concerning women are discussed, it will be this Women in Government and Media platform. It will become our own Beijing conference, that famous conference held in China in 1995, at which the late First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings of blessed memory, represented Ghana ably. I am happy to be associated with this. We have made incremental progress in terms of the advancement of women. I recall that as a child, I used to follow closely events surrounding the promotion of girl-child education. I know that songs were composed, and some of the leading lights in the media, like my sister Giftianti, Akushika Akwe, and co., were at the forefront of this endeavor. The records show today that there are more girls in school than boys. Indeed, recently I was invited to the basic school that I attended as guest of honor for their speech and prize giving day. And when I was there as a student, it was difficult to find a woman amongst the top 10 performing students. But when I last went there, I had the privilege of presenting prizes to girl after girl after girl. And indeed, President Mahama captured it rightly when only last week in Zambia, he noted that perhaps we may have to devise a special program for the boy child. Because the girls have clearly overtaken the boys. And it is a step in the right direction. It shows that with consistent efforts, if we work at it, we are going to achieve outcomes that would surpass our expectations. So on that note, let me belatedly welcome all of you and join you to participate fully in this event so that we leave here better off than we arrived. Thank you very much for your attention.
To be able to share. There's something that Felix said that will make me go straight into talking about the Ministry of Gender. Not to bore you too much with my personal life, and I just want to say that the boys don't have to wait for too long, because the Ministry of Gender has commenced what we call the Men's Conference. And this Men's Conference talks about positive masculinity. We commenced this last year, or early this year, last year. In 2025, we commenced the men's conference that talks about positive masculinity, using the men, getting them educated and then sensitized to stop violence against women. Using them to support the women empowerment agenda. And so as you empower somebody, you also get empowered. And so the men's conference, or positive masculinity, has come to stay. It is interesting that anytime we talk about women and leadership, people ask, what do you bring to the table? We bring a whole lot that the men don't have. It is not men against women. It is us, men and women, building a nation, and in this case, building the Ghana we all want. It is not a battle where a line is drawn, and so we are all up in arms against each other, facing each other to fist fight, and then see who wins or who is better. I think that at this stage, what Ghana needs is us bringing the whole of ourselves as women. For each and every one of us to be seated here means that there's a quality that you have that others don't have. And if by grace you've been given the opportunity to serve, be it in the public sector, private sector, or wherever, it means that you have enough to cause the change that is needed. And on this note, I want to thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman, for this great opportunity to serve in a sector that concerns every single Ghanaian in Ghana. And so the issues are enormous. They are about us. And so when they come up, we tackle it with all the passion and energy that we have. This evening, I bring you warm greetings from the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, which has the mandate to mainstream gender and social inclusion concerns into national policies, plans, and budgets in line with the vision of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It is an honor to be invited to this laudable first national annual forum on women in government and media, convened at the moment in Ghana's democratic development journey, where women are being empowered through policy reforms and inclusive leadership. Your Excellency, the theme for this forum, leadership, visibility, and public trust, is timely and speaks directly to our national aspirations, which strongly aligns with government's commitment to inclusive governance, as articulated in the 1992 Constitution, and Ghana's obligations under the regional and international frameworks of CEDAW, which is the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, the Beijing Platform for Action, and the Sustainable Development Goals, especially Goal 5 and Goal 16. Gender equality, as we all know, there's global evidence consistently that demonstrates that women in leadership tend to advance inclusive policies and priorities in the social protection, education, health, and peace building, which are fundamental to sustainable and equitable development. When women leaders are well positioned, visibly and meaningfully represented, public institutions become more responsive to the needs of all citizens. Distinguished invited guests, as part of the resetting agenda of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Ghana has made commendable progress to promote gender equality across various sectors in nurturing women leaders across public institutions, local governments, as well as the media. These efforts reflect a deliberate commitment to, or by the government, leading to a fair representation and effective public service delivery. Key among these implementations is the Affirmative Action Law, which all of us are aware that by the grace of God, we've commenced effective implementation. The Secretariat has been set up. The committee to oversee its implementation is there. There's commitment on the part of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who has also set up a task force at the presidency to ensure that almost all the things we have set up, the targets and all that, are achieved. This evening, as we sit here, we are guided to ensure that in our respective places, like Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyeman will say, it is not enough for us to be the first to enter. It is not enough for us to be the ones on the seat. But it is so crucial that that door through which we enter, we keep that door open for many more women to enter. And that is the only way we can achieve our target. On this note, let it ring in your mind as you assist us, as you assist His Excellency to allow more women to enter so that affirmative action will be achieved. Gender parity is the way to go. Thank you.
It is a great honor to address this distinguished gathering of powerful women in public service and media. I wish to express my profound gratitude to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, for believing in women and choosing Ghana's first woman Vice President. Thank you again for appointing all of us in this room to serve in your government, Your Excellency. I particularly want to thank His Excellency for believing in me, a woman and a non-engineer, and for appointing me to lead a male-dominated, purely engineering company. I'm pleased to report to you, Mr. President, that the mandate entrusted in me is delivering measurable results and meaningful impact. Under my supervision, Ghana Gas has sustained uninterrupted gas operations and increased the GPP's operational capacity from an average of 100 MMscf to 120 MMscf per day within just a year. That's the power of a woman. That's the power of all of us here. This achievement was anchored on my drive to create a culture of excellence, collaboration, and accountability. For the entire 2 weeks of the 2025 planned shutdown maintenance, I stayed with the team of engineers to ensure the timely resolution of any challenge that could have delayed the project timeline. That's a typical woman leader. I stayed there for 2 weeks. I left my family, stayed in Atuabo for 2 weeks, something none of my predecessors had done at Ghana Gas. Let's see what that resulted in. This resulted in the plant coming on stream in an unprecedented record time of 10 days, rather than the 14 days that the minister agreed for us to have it. That's the power of a woman. It is gratifying to report that these milestones were achieved at a comparatively reduced cost. That's another milestone, another trait of a woman, reduced cost, in line with our objective of cost optimization. Your Excellency, while I recount these milestones with gratitude and a deep sense of duty, I must acknowledge that the journey has not been without its challenges. About a year ago, on International Women's Day exactly, I assumed office as Ghana Gas without fanfare at the Gas House boardroom. For approximately 3 weeks, I used the boardroom as a strategic hub, holding extensive meetings with departments across all facets of the company. This exercise was part of my initial diagnostic strategy, a comprehensive assessment of our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It has also effectively dispelled the myth that non-engineers were unsuitable for leadership in that space. Leadership is about clarity, it's about vision, and it's simply about execution. Through this process, we clearly defined what needed immediate attention, what required short-term intervention, and what demanded medium-term planning. One key issue that emerged was what I termed the culture of false urgency at Ghana Gas. Everything was labeled urgent and critical, forcing the organization into perpetual firefighting mode. Recognizing that this was a cultural issue rather than an operational one, I engaged senior members of the team on the need for structured planning. Did I say structured planning? Yes. That's the woman way. With their support, we have replaced that culture with one anchored on strategy, prioritization, and accountability. Having stabilized and optimized our gas infrastructure, management and the board are fully aligned with the President's vision and the Minister's direction to expand national gas infrastructure. Our focus includes the addition of a third compressor, the Takoradi Thermal Pipeline, and the gas processing plant 2. These projects are not merely corporate initiatives. They are generational investments that will strengthen energy security, stimulate industrial growth, and anchor Ghana's long-term development. Our relationship with the media. In executing this bold vision, we recognize the media as a strategic partner. Ghana Gas is and remains intentional about supporting the media growth and professionalism. We provide sponsorship support, organize periodic media trainings to deepen understanding of gas operations, host annual media soirees to encourage open and relaxed engagement, and offer academic scholarship to strengthen capacity in energy reporting, especially for women in media. And my friend Eji Akwaku will testify to this relationship. Our objective is simple: to equip the media with the knowledge and the access necessary to report accurately, confidently, and responsibly, ensuring that information reaching the Ghanaian public is factual and free from misinformation. In return, I seek a collaborative relationship built on transparency, accountability, mutual trust, and respect from the media. Ask questions, demand clarity, hold us accountable, but let us engage constructively to ensure that national conversations around energy are informed and balanced. At Ghana Gas, friends from the media is literal. To follow women leaders here, whether in government or in media, I leave you with this. Competence knows no gender. Leadership knows no gender. Impact knows no gender. So, wherever we find ourselves in energy, in governance, or in journalism, do not just occupy space, transform it. Let's clone ourselves. We need to clone ourselves. I think I'm mimicking what Her Excellency says. She opens the door and she leaves it open for others to walk in. I call it cloning ourselves, leaving ourselves behind when we are not there. The same self, Judith the leader, Judith the impactful leader. Have I cloned myself before I leave? Let's clone ourselves. A vision I'm implementing at Ghana Gas with the formation of Ghana Gas Ladies. I'd like to conclude by expressing my sincere appreciation to the Office of the Government Communication for conceptualizing this novel program. It provides visibility to leadership and strengthens public trust as we work assiduously to advance the resetting agenda. Thank you. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong.
Serving in leadership role in Ghana today as a woman is challenging. It means a major issues across Parliament, the public service, various leadership positions, and in the media. Far too long, women have contributed significantly behind the scenes, yet their voices have not been heard. Even though Ghana has taken an important step with the appointment of 8th first female vice president, of which we commend the president for this bold decision, but we still have a long way to go. Out of 276 members of parliament, we have 41 female representation, which is relatively small as compared to that of the male representation. There is the need to fight for protection of the few women in governance and advocate for the increase in number of female representation, especially in parliament. Government should pay attention to the few women representation and support their work in strengthening their resilience towards the decision-making process. Behind the success we see today is a reality of women in leadership facing criticism, personal attack, and unfair judgment, not because of our work, but simply because we are women. Our words are mostly twisted, and our private lives are often used against us in public. This has to change. Ghana has taken an important step with the passage of the Affirmative Action Law. This law is not just about numbers, it is about fairness and giving women a fair chance to be seen, heard, and trusted in leadership. But passing a law alone is not enough. It's not enough. The law should be protected and it must be made to work. The media can help build public trust or it can create doubt. Women in governance and women in the media must work together to strengthen accountability and shape national narratives that support national development. False stories and misinformation damage public trust and weaken our democracy. As a government, we must communicate responsibly and clearly. The media must carefully report and confirm its stories. As citizens, we need to consider our words before speaking. Democracy is enhanced when women are protected. Public trust increases when the trust is safeguarded. This is the Ghana we must continue to work for. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are here now, our Vice President is the head of the Economic Management Team. And how do we see it from '92, when she was nominated as the Vice President? The argument was she's an English student, and the other one is economic student. But let's see the difference. Which one has performed better? And how are we carrying it as media? Or is it because she's a woman? Please, let the world know that a woman can do it and do it better. Thank you.
Well, let me, on behalf of His Excellency, welcome you for taking time of your pain to be here, stopping whatever you were doing to join us. This is something very important to him, and I'm sure Madam Vice will be telling you what actually prompted this. But let me take you down memory lane for a moment. Remember when His Excellency the President nominated Professor Nana, we all said she's broken what? The glass ceiling. Very outstanding. But you know the part that I loved so much? When Prof. Nana herself said, well, you've opened the door for me to walk through, but I don't want to be selfish. I'm going to stand by the latch, open the door for many other women to walk through. And I think that is what she started today. The objective of bringing you here is not just to come and listen to a series of talks, but to try and network, make some good friends, collaborate as we progress, because that's what the president wants to see. He wants women to take your rightful position in the society. Today is not a day for long talk for the men, so I'm going to coil back to my shell. But before I do that, let me share a little advice with you, especially my colleagues in ministerial, chief executive, parliament, and other positions. When I used to be the minister for local government, there's something I did that actually helped me. And I want to share with you, and you can also practice it, since this meeting is between office holders, political office holders, and media practitioners. Anytime I intend starting any initiative, I try as much as possible to invite people from the media fraternity. And then I'll tell them, colleagues, this is what I've been asked by the president to do. If you were to be in my shoes, how are you going to run it? So play the devil's advocate and tell me what you think will work and what will not work. Even though sometimes you know what you want, you just listen to them, and at the end of whatever they say, you thank them. That way, when you start implementing it, you are guaranteed nobody will criticize you because they were part of it. So I wish you so well. Make sure you put that into practice so that you won't get more criticism, because they contributed to the formation of the idea. Thank you so much, and enjoy.
Let me address all of you as friends and colleagues. Is that okay? Yes. And my children too. Yes. That too. You are all welcome. All of you. I think the Chief of Staff has already explained what we are doing and why we are doing this. It's very important that once in a while, we all come together. We wish we can do this more often. You and I know why. So this is a rare moment for all of us to be gathered here. And in the process, to think of the many, many women who are not able to be here. So to always see ourselves as representatives of those whose names are not on the roster, but without whom we would not be here. So that's the first comment. It's very important also to network. If only to meet one person you haven't met in a while. So when we come here or when we attend events, let's avoid sitting by the people we know. I know that makes you feel comfortable, so it's okay. But sometimes it's good to go beyond the comfort zone. Talk to somebody. And of course, I haven't even commended you for your dance moves. Hey, Mesiafi. Sometimes what we need is just a simple listening ear. Somebody we can go to. Somebody whose experience we can also share or we can learn from. So events like these are very, very important. I'm sure when many of you And of course, let me commend Efia. She has a lot of fans. When you all started moving towards the center, I was watching you, and I was very, very satisfied with what I saw. I saw the smiles, I saw the body relaxing, and I said, these are women. Congratulations. So events like this also allow us to close ranks, to put some faces to some of the names and some of the names to some of the faces. But every woman is a leader in her own right, and you know that. And if we are leaders, we are called to serve. That's all there is. So let us take our roles as leaders very, very seriously. I want to greet all of you on behalf of our president. It has been an interesting day. We've been in cabinet all day, and I believe that, there are armies of people waiting to meet with him. Otherwise, I'm sure he'd have been here by now. So let me greet all of you on his behalf. And the topic we are supposed to reflect on, visibility, especially visibility and leadership, that's very, very important. When Shamima told me about this event, she knew I'd be here. And I'm very happy to be able to make it. So we all know that visibility by itself is not the goal. Influence is. And influence without standards can be risky. In the media, visibility shapes how society understands power, how society understands leadership itself, how society understands competence and credibility. Those who recount narratives do not simply report. They organize attention. They help determine what is urgent and what is trivial and what is ignored. That is a significant form of power. Women in media, therefore, hold a strategic position. More than mere participants in public conversation, you help shape its terms. You help decide which stories are framed as serious and which are reduced to spectacle. You help decide whether public debate is grounded in evidence or driven by outrage. Leadership by itself is demanding, and I think everybody here knows that. But leadership for women in public life often carries additional weight. And again, I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. Or you don't? Yeah, you live it every day. Women normally, especially in leadership, operate under heightened pressure and scrutiny. Yet, our development requires women also to shape our national direction, whether in cabinet, in parliament, in boardrooms, in newsrooms, production studios, or communities across the country. Visibility can expand these possibilities. It can normalize women's authority, but it must be accompanied by credibility, which must be sustained by public trust. Trust is built through accountability, communication, and competence. It is strengthened by policies when they are explained clearly, when institutions engage openly, and leaders remain consistent, when the media reports with context rather than sensationalism, then trust is grounded. The relationship between women in government and women in media must therefore not be accidental. It must be strategic. Media shapes perception. Perception influences confidence. Confidence, by turn, sustains institutions. This means that when gender issues are reduced to clickbait, the public is denied substance. When stories about women focus on superficial issues only, like appearance, at the expense of our brains, our competence, and our outcomes, the space for women in public life becomes very, very small and sometimes insignificant. We must refuse to be belittled. We must refuse to be intimidated. We must refuse to be shaped in other people's images. We must have faith in ourselves. We must refuse for anyone to talk us down simply because we are women. We are proud of being women. Women journalists and editors carry a particular responsibility, not because women are morally superior, but because your presence changes perspective. When you occupy editorial rooms, you can question framing. You can challenge assumptions, and you can insist on depth. There's also an educational role here. For many, the media is our classroom for governance, economics, health, public policy, and many others. Women in media leadership can clarify these complex issues. You can elevate credible expertise and also expose harmful practices, and by so doing, contribute meaningfully, like you are doing already, to national development. The pressures of the digital age must be acknowledged. Speed and controversy tend to be rewarded, and they travel faster than nuance. But standards must still govern editorial choices. Ladies and gentlemen, where are the few gentlemen? I'm acknowledging you anyway. Inclusive leadership is not symbolic. It is a developmental issue. Countries that meaningfully integrate women into decision-making build stronger institutions, more stable governance outcomes, and more inclusive growth. Therefore, women are not only beneficiaries of development, we are among its drivers. And expanding representation does not mean lowering standards. To women in government and public institutions, let us continue to lead with integrity, communicate transparently, and mentor deliberately. Let us reach out to the younger women. Let's guide them. Let's restore trust and let them know that we have their back. The visibility should not stop at self-promotion. It should be a way to explain our work clearly so that citizens can judge performance on substance rather than on speculation. To the younger women entering public life, journalism too, you are stepping into professions with real influence. Your bylines, reporting, and leadership will shape people's understanding of power and potential. And at a forum of many women, let us always be mindful about the whole concept of power. If we are going to play it the way it has been placed against us, then we are not going to make progress. Let us play it in ways that are fair to everybody, regardless. So, just try to interrogate every story and decision. And do this by clarity and by opening minds. You can ask yourself many questions, including the following. Whatever I'm reporting, does it clarify? Does it provoke? Does it inform? Does it inflame? And to what end? Ladies and gentlemen, democratic governance depends on informed citizens. Informed citizens depend on credible journalism and credible leadership. Let this form signal an intentional relationship in which women in governance and women in media work together, support each other professionally in order to strengthen democratic accountability. Let us commit to leadership that is visible, credible, and compassionate. Let us build institutions that earn trust through words and actions. Let us shape national narratives responsibly. Let us ensure that the story of Ghana's development is told accurately, fairly, and with confidence in Ghana's women. Thank you for your attention.
Hafiz TV, unique every day.